This is Max Sterling. Welcome to LarpGasm. So today we're going to work on this bow a little bit. This will be brown. This will probably be silver. I'm going to make it look like it has a stock, so I'm going to try to follow the sort of natural lines that's here, tape it off. So this will all be a wood grain, and the rest of it will be silver, and I'll probably do this a wood grain, but I might have to disassemble this first. We'll see how it looks like it's progressing. And now I'm inside here debadging this. Sandpaper works on the logos. You gotta grind off the rest of the stuff and then sand it down. You can watch my other videos on debadging if you're not sure how to do that. But now comes the dreaded part. This is a larger Nerf weapon. I'm going to take it apart because the only way to properly paint this chamber and a few of these other items is to take this thing apart. So I'm going to have to do that, and I'm also going to have to make a decision pretty soon on if I want to go silver or like a brass, like a steampunk look with this. I think I'm going to go silver. So that's where we're at. I'm going to take this apart and see what happens. So I have this gun dismantled now. It's a nightmare of springs and other little things, so be careful taking this apart. Remember how it goes back together. Should be easy enough to get this trigger, this chamber, and stuff out. On this particular gun, you're going to want to not break these off because they hold the arrows on there. If you take those off, it might not hold them on as well. This is also presumably where if you didn't want this goofy locking mechanism on here, that you could remove it. So that might be something I do, but then I have to find something to fill the holes that are on there. So we'll see. I might not get that involved with it, but just be mindful of all the little springs and pieces when you take them out of here. Remember when I said not to mix up all your parts? Yeah, well, they all fell out. So now comes the nightmarish hell that is trying to remember how a Nerf gun was assembled. Luckily, I have this video so I can reference it, but if I didn't, assuming there's, a schematic online, but if there isn't, I'd be in some deep shit. So always remember where your parts go if you're going to pull one of these apart. Don't say I didn't warn you. Oh, and wear gloves after you spray paint shit because you're going to crap all over your hands. Now, I have not clear coated this at all yet. If you're looking at it, you can see that I did the part where attachments would go, the inside cylinder, and the little locking mechanism, and also the barrel inside. It's not real visible, but it could become visible. So basically anything that could be visible from the outside, we want to make sure that we take care of. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and paint this brown so that it looks like it is wood, and then just do some metal accents on it. So I'm never going to be able to match this silver I got out of a spray paint can, so I'm just going to do as best as I can with the metallics. But for right now, I'm just going to do all the brown parts, and I'm going to start with a darker brown, and then I'm going to use a wood graining tool to give it a wood grain, and then go back over with a lighter color. So I'll show you how I do all of that. But we want to get it from a black base to a brown base first. So burnt umber is going to be our choice to start with here. There's no point really like shooting it out, so I just open them up, dip your brush in, and get to work. Now you don't have to be Rembrandt when you do this. You already have a black base. We're looking to just get a dark brown on here for the time being. Pattern doesn't really matter. Just try not to paint over the parts that you're going to make silver. So just keep it on the parts that you're going to keep brown. This paint I use is water-based because it's very forgiving. So if you do get something someplace you don't want it, you can, once it dries, you can flick it off with a toothpick, or you can use water to wash it off. I prefer to wait till it dries and then basically just use a toothpick to try to basically flick it off of wherever I don't want it. Been doing that for years, painting models like that. It's just so much more forgiving than oils or acrylics, and once you clear coat it, it's all sort of irrelevant anyways, because this paint, once clear coated, will be just like any other paint. Now, that being said, I mean, you can do whatever you want to do. If you feel comfortable working with other types, then hey, you go for it. But this is what I've learned over the years, because I am not a fantastic painter. So I like to have room for forgiveness. Now, obviously, I'm painting the track where accessories would go, because this is going to be a period bow. I don't ever really intend on having laser sights on it. But if I do go to a game and I take this for some reason, and it is in a genre that does allow for that sort of thing, well, guess what? You just stick the laser sight on here, you screw up your paint job, and it is what it is. Next time you need it for fantasy LARP, just repaint it. Should try not to paint over the sliding parts if it can be avoided, because all the paint's going to flake off and chip off. But I don't know how well you can tell on the video, but that's sort of, you know, where we're at so far. So once we get the wood grain on there, a couple other layers of paint, this will start looking like wood. It's going to look a whole heck of a lot better. So I'm going to go ahead and spare you watching me do that. I'm just going to go ahead and finish this up and sort of show you once we get to the wood graining part. So continuing on with this painting, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to put this wood grain pattern on here. So we start out by basically just getting that lighter brown color onto the weapon. Don't worry if you miss some spots. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just make sure that all your brush strokes are going the same way, no up and downs mixed in with the left to rights. Now the first way to do this is just have a little bit of paint on your brush, and then just straight strokes, just like that. Almost like dry brushing. If you paint, it'll give you the texture that you're looking for. Now the other way to do it is, like you can see up here where we have a lot of paint, is to get one of these, which is a wood graining tool, and take it and you use a rocking motion as you drag it. Now on an uneven texture, it's going to be tough to do, and you might have to try it a few times, but you drag across, make sure you're going in a straight line, and it's going to turn out the way you want it. And if it doesn't, you can always come back in and touch it up or try again. So that's pretty much it. I've already done the other side, so let me show you that. So that's what we're looking at. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. So after all of our hard work, here's the finished product. So we got this wood grain pattern going on, which I decided to continue on to the front of it. And had to do a little freehanding underneath, but I think it turned out okay. And then on the other side, got the wood grain. Those combo numbers I'm going to have to touch up again, but I think overall the project turned out okay. So if this is something you're looking to do for a LARP, make sure you have a wood graining tool, get your paint right, and go about doing it. And I hope you enjoyed this little video here. If you did, please click like, be sure to subscribe, and of course, as always, venture on. Bilbo. Here. This is about your size. I can't take this. But the receiver is elvish make, which means it'll glow blue when there's orcs or goblins nearby. I've never used a gun in my life. And I hope you never have to. But if you do, remember this. True courage is not about knowing when to take a life, but when to take all of them.